Welcome back, everybody, to the KC Sports Report. I'm your host, Michael Darcy, and today I have the luxury of being joined on this post-game live stream by my good friend Josh Fan. We're going to break down the Kansas City Chiefs' 27-24 win over the Los Angeles Chargers at the Arrowhead Stadium home opener. So, Josh, we just witnessed an absolutely incredible game. The Kansas City Chiefs just outlasted the Los Angeles Chargers at Arrowhead Stadium, and they won this game by a final score of 27-24. They came back from 10 down, a game that was really a roller coaster from start to finish. So much sticks out to me from this game. We saw Jalen Watson, the 7th-round draft pick, return a 99-yard interception to the house for the go-ahead touchdown. We saw our basically pickup kicker, Matt Amendola, kick a lot of really good field goals. He was not the problem at all tonight. And Patrick Mahomes was Patrick Mahomes. He had a touchdown pass to Jarrett McKinnon in the first, I think it was the second quarter, where he was somehow able to get lateral and threw the ball between two Chargers defenders, hit Jarrett McKinnon. He just put his head down, got in the end zone. Absolutely textbook Patrick Mahomes. But Josh, what are your instant reactions? Because this was an incredible win and a big-time statement win for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, well, first of all, what a game. Because that was fun. And, it was fun because, it was a close game, obviously. But, I never felt throughout any point in the game, like I never was worried that like the Chiefs would lose, even though it was a close game, relatively speaking. I was pretty relaxed, and it's because there's a different feel to this Chiefs team. It's like they're just solid across the board. And yeah, the defense was maybe a little shaky early, but they really tightened up as the game went on. They were able to stall the Chargers offense, and that's when they got some of their points. Then we got the Jalen Watson pick six, which totally changed the game. And what a freaking play by Jalen Watson, the 7th-round rookie cornerback. I mean, I don't want to overreact, but this draft class by Brett Veach has the potential to be like 2012 Seahawks type stuff because, I mean, Jesus, the fact that a 7th-round rookie got a 99-yard pick six in his first game at Arrowhead to basically win the game, and Trent McDuffie's out, he stepped up in his place, and man, that it was just a fun game, man. And it's important that we came out the win. There's a few things that I don't like that we would be talking about if they lost, which is, the red zone offense when they couldn't punch it in down there, or just a couple of the drives tonight where it's like, what are you doing? Like I was talking to my friend, and it was the play where Mahomes, it looked like it had gotten picked off, but the ball hit the ground. And it's like, it's a good thing it did hit the ground and it wasn't an interception, but that's the kind of throw that like Mahomes makes that throw a little too often where it's like, what were you looking at, man? Those are a couple of the things we'd probably be complaining about tonight had they lost, but they won. That's the important thing. And it's a tough divisional win. It's an AFC West win against a really good Chargers team. Like, any win is a good win against the Chargers at this point in, their franchise, because I mean, Justin Herbert is a really good quarterback, like baller. Yeah. And I mean, he was out there playing hurt and all, which I saw you tweet at one point, like, hey, he probably shouldn't even be in the game. And I agreed with you because it's like, you're risking your quarterback's long-term health to make a 10-point game a 3-point game. And it's like, really? Come on. But I mean, hey, he toughed it out and they made it interesting for a few more seconds. Then the Chiefs recovered the onside kick and it was over. But it's just important that they got the win, and it was a hell of a game.
Well, really quickly, I want to give my props to Justin Herbert. This kid is a baller. Like, to see him go through so much pain, and it was Mike Dana that delivered the hit on his ribs, and then Frank Clark hit that very same rib like 2 plays later. And the play that sticks out to me, it was like 3rd and 1. Or I can't remember what down it was, but Herbert was scrambling, and instead of running to get the 1 yard for the first down, just threw it out of bounds. And then on the very next play, he delivers a deep ball downfield, perfectly placed. It's just like, man, it's so impressive. And the fact that he stuck through all of that pain to play as well as he did down the stretch, it's really impressive. And it just shows you that the Chargers had their QB. But man, Chris Jones in this game, he had one of those games that you didn't really.
Hold on, Michael. let
Yeah,
me say something before you talk about Chris Jones. People
sure.
wanted him traded. Can I remind you? People wanted him traded this
Yeah.
offseason. That was ridiculous.
It, the
Chris Jones is a monster.
He had 2 sacks, 4 pressures. I think he had like 6 QB hits as
Almost
well.
got a safety. He almost got us a safety.
He was causing mayhem all night long. You don't win this game without Chris Jones. And I think that just goes to show you that the defense is starting to get better. But I mean, this offense wasn't great in this game by any means. But, to your point, I think that if they would have lost this game, the discussion would have been a lot different because there were some plays, even early on in the first half that just had me scratching my head and saying, what was that play call, Andy? Like the jet sweep to me, Cole, that just didn't work out. They had a couple plays that, they just should have ran the ball and they decided to throw it on like third down or second down. And they should have been running the ball to milk the clock. But, something else that I want to mention really quickly is that Patrick Mahomes is incredible. We know this. His ability to pick off when the defense is going to jump off sides is something that not a lot of
count tonight.
Yeah,
the hard count tonight. He was going crazy with that, and he got him to jump once.
Exactly, and it's something that I admire because he can get it to work most of the time, but sometimes he just makes stupid throws, just assuming that he's going to get that offsides call, and these DBs just somehow happen to drop these interceptions. I don't know why. I could not tell you. Maybe it's just incredible luck. But Patrick Mahomes had a couple times tonight where I was like, oh, that should have been picked off. But also, something that I want to mention as well, for as much credit as we're giving Justin Herbert for sticking through it, the Chargers were pummeling Patrick Mahomes even after the play. I saw Joey Bosa take out Pat even after the play was over. I saw late hit after late hit, and our quarterback stuck through it and just played the kind of football that we expect out of Patrick Mahomes, even when he was getting destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't even call a flag on it either. Also, there were quite a few times tonight where they didn't pull a flag where I feel like they should, like Kelsey getting pile drived into the grass. Like
this isn't WWE.
Yeah, for my entirety of my life watching football, that has always been an unnecessary roughness call, and I don't know why it wasn't there. And the only reason he fumbled was because of the fact that he got
body slammed.
Yeah, so I mean that was weird, but yeah, no, the Chargers D line definitely got their hits in. Chiefs D line, especially in the second half, they really started chipping away at Justin Herbert, and also some of it had to do with the fact the Chargers offensive line had a couple injuries. I know they had to replace their right tackle, and their center Corey Linsley had to come out of the game. Also, something I wanted to point out too is I noticed at the very end of the game, Mike Dana was ruled out with a calf injury, which I hope that's not bad because usually when you get ruled out immediately, like the injury has to be pretty bad, but also that could just be because it was so late in the game. They're like, hey, just, sit the rest of this out. I never saw what happened to him, but they said it was a calf injury. Hope he's all right because he played pretty well tonight. But yeah, the defensive line, they were not getting the pressure they needed in the first half, but in the second half, they definitely stepped it up. And also a play I'd like to point out is the one by George Karlaftis when it was the same it was the same defensive stand when Chris Jones got one of his sacks, but Justin Herbert was backed up into their own end zone, and George Karlaftis played it perfectly to where he jumped in front of Herbert and affected the throw. And if you go back and watch it, if Karlaftis did anything different, Herbert might have been able to get a throw off, but he timed it perfectly, was able to get his arms up in the air and make sure Herbert had to throw it in the dirt because he had no other choice. Karlaftis looked good tonight, and so did Dunlap. Dunlap got quite a few plays where he was getting in there. Frank Clark, on the other hand, nah.
There was a big third down where I saw that he was on the sideline, and I was like, isn't that ironic? Isn't that where we want him to be on third down? But, to your point, George Karlaftis has been really good, guys. I don't think I expected him to be, this quality of a pass rusher. From what I saw tonight, he was playing most of the downs, and Carlos Dunlap, he's been productive as well. But again, Chris Jones, absolute monster, and his ability to just cause absolute mayhem on the inside, it opened up everything, and it allowed George Karlaftis to get to the quarterback. It allowed some of the other guys to lay some big time hits on Justin Herbert because the Chargers offensive line was so worried about Chris Jones breaking through again, because Chris Jones, really had a big impact on this game. And I think he's a big reason why the Chiefs won. But, I'm kind of looking at the stats right now, which I'll go over those later.
Mhm.
Patrick Mahomes didn't really have a good game. He was
No.
mediocre for Pat's standards. And I think that just kind of goes to show you that the Chargers did, again, neutralize him. And this has kind of been a theme that we've seen really over the Mahomes tenure, is that the Chargers defense always plays them really well. And for the most part, it really doesn't seem to matter because the Chiefs win a lot of these games, but still, Mahomes wasn't on his best game, and they still were able to win this big-time divisional game. And who knows what the implications of this game are going to have in 2 months.
Well, the great thing is, what you like to see is this time last year, if Patrick Mahomes has that type of game, Chiefs lose this game by 2 scores. But their defense stepped up. This defense looks a lot better. They look a lot faster. They're absolutely flying around. Willie Gay had a hell of a game. He missed a few tackles in the first half, but really the whole team was missing tackles, but I kind of attribute that to it being early in the season. And, they're still getting their conditioning in, wrapping up and stuff like that, since these guys don't hit a lot before the season. Because I know that some of these guys don't tackle as bad as they were tonight, but Billy Gay was certainly flying around, making plays, especially in the second half. And this defense, they stepped the hell up, even in the absence of Trent McDuffie, which if they had him tonight, I'd be interested to know how the game would have went had Trent McDuffie been available, because they might have been able to do more with their defensive backs, have more flexibility, because Mike Williams absolutely ate again tonight against the Chiefs. It's weird how literally everyone in the league can defend this guy except for the Chiefs. It's really strange. I don't know why. And some of it before was because the Chargers receivers really had a height advantage on our cornerbacks. We added size to our cornerback room this offseason, though. So it's still frustrating that Mike Williams, of all people, is able to embarrass us like that. But ultimately, it didn't matter. And the defense really, in the second half, they answered the call and they did what they needed to do. They got stops when they needed to. And, the offense, a few times, they should have scored. They should have capitalized off the Chargers having to punt, and they didn't. But again, the defense stepped up, so it didn't matter. All I know is that last year, this time, if Patrick Mahomes had a game like that, this Chiefs team would have lost to the Chargers, and it would have been pretty bad, because we know how bad the defense was last year starting out. And Patrick Mahomes was really having to press because he knew that if he didn't score on every possession, that it was going to be hard to win. That wasn't the case tonight. And we know the Chiefs offense will have games like this. And, there's also something people have to remember is a lot of the players on this offense are new. They're new to the team. It's going to take time for them to gel.
Absolutely. And I think that just goes to show you how balanced the Chiefs are as a team right now. This defense is going to get better. The offense is going to get better. But, this is more of a typical football team. There's nights where your offense isn't going to score 42 points a game. There's nights where your offense is going to struggle, and you need your defense to kind of pick up the slack and make some big time plays. And in the first half, the Chiefs defense didn't have any major plays, but through the game, they continually got better. And they made some big time stops down the stretch. Basically, in the second half, towards the end of the game, this Chiefs defense was locked down. They were locked in. And I think that goes to show you how far we've come as a team. And I'm excited to see what this team is like 10 weeks from now, because they're going to be even better. But really quickly, I want to give a shout out to everybody watching this live stream, this post-game Chiefs live stream. Shout out to Sam Owsley, my guy. But, shout out to everyone watching this, because if you guys like this, we'll do more Chiefs post-game shows that are live so you guys can hear our instant thoughts. But, man, this game was so big because now the Chiefs can lose in Los Angeles. They can afford to lose if we get to that point in the season. Granted, we're going to want to win that game, obviously. But, again, I still think the Chiefs are up here in the division and everybody else is right here. The Raiders and the Broncos are down here, but the Chargers are still just a little bit under the Kansas City Chiefs, because the Chiefs still have the best quarterback on the planet, and he proved that with that touchdown pass to Justin Watson, which I want to talk about.
I was just about to bring that up. And
really,
he cooked J.C. Jackson. Our fifth receiver cooked J.C. Jackson, their big free agency acquisition this offseason. And
right when he threw to Justin Watson, my first reaction was, is JC Jackson on him? He cooked JC Jackson for a 41-yard touchdown catch.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes threw an absolute beauty. I mean, again, we were talking about this in the pregame show on your channel. Attack JC Jackson because, yeah, he can pick off the quarterback, but he also has plays like that where he's going to get cooked by a fifth receiver.
Well, and it's just the fact that he was coming off foot surgery. It's like, hey, test this guy. See, is he moving at 100%? I didn't think he would, and it might have had something to do with that play. But what hell of a play by Justin Watson, the guy who really worked his way up the depth chart through training camp, and it's just surprised a lot of people. It's nice to actually see him get some game action and get a touchdown when the Chiefs really needed it. But the Chiefs offense, it's scary to think how this game could have went if they played an A+ game, because they really only played like a D+ C- type of game. And, they still, I wouldn't say they won comfortably, but I mean,
it didn't come down to a last-second field goal or a last-ditch effort. They were up by 10 with like 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, like they won. They won the game, and pretty much everyone watching knew, hey, it was over once they went up 10 points. So, like,
I would say convincing is the right word to use. Like, it wasn't a blowout. It wasn't a game that was ever necessarily out of reach for the Chargers, but the Chiefs won a convincing game. I mean, anyone that bet the Chargers would guarantee that the Chiefs won in a convincing fashion.
Yeah, I mean, and the Chargers are a tough opponent too. Like, I know I was saying in my pregame show, like, hey, this is a game the Chiefs should win, which it was. It was a game they should win. But I didn't mean to undersell the Chargers or anything, because look, they are a good team. I know they're in the running for the division. I know this. I know Justin Herbert's a good quarterback. But like I said, if the Chiefs defense played a halfway decent game, that the Chiefs were going to win this. And that's exactly what happened. The defense stepped up tonight. And I said that all along. If they play a halfway decent game, the Chiefs will win this. Because I know the Chiefs will put up enough points to win. But the question was, can they slow down the Chargers offense enough for them to win? And they did.
And if you remember, in your pregame show, I specifically said that the whatever defense made the bigger play in this game would win. And that big play was Jalen Watson's 99-yard interception to the house for a pick six. That was the defining play in this game that shifted the tides. Because at that point, I mean, hell, that was in the Chargers' red zone. They were trying to go up. And he just kind of snuck in between one of the Chargers players and picked that ball off. And really taking that to the house was so impressive because he had to take it. He cut back and was able to get upfield. And the speed that he showed, I mean, it was just... that was the defining play in this game, and it's just, for whatever reason, the kind of play that the Chiefs just make against the Chargers. Whether it's Dan Sorensen or somebody else, the Chiefs just seem to have these big-time interceptions.
It was a great night, and you had to bring up Dirty Dan.
Dan Sorensen will always be in my heart, especially in divisional games, too.
Yeah, no, I agree. But, man, hearing that name on a night like this, Michael, you shouldn't have done it.
Well, I mean, Dan Sorensen should bring you nothing but happiness now because he's not our problem. We don't have to deal with him. But really quickly, let me get into these stats because I think it's very interesting. Patrick Mahomes was 24 of 35 for 235, averaging 6.7 yards per attempt. He did throw 2 touchdown passes. The first one was that incredible, just Mahomes magic throw, but to Jerick McKinnon for the first touchdown. The second one was to Justin Watson. And he ended up getting sacked, I believe. Did he only get sacked once?
Yeah, actually. The only sack, I think, was from Khalil Mack. Yeah, I think it was Khalil Mack.
But he got pressured a lot.
Yeah, no, he did. But a lot of it came from Wiley's side. I was going to say Orlando Brown actually did pretty good tonight. And we talked about that in the pregame, how this was an important game for the tackles. And Mahomes, the Chiefs cannot afford for, Mahomes to be getting pressured from both sides all night. And the first couple drives, things were kind of shaky. But I know Orlando Brown settled in and had a really nice game. And Andrew Wiley, for, the player that he is, he did, allow some disruption. But it wasn't too bad to where the Chiefs' game plan was ruined because of it.
Yeah. And on the other side, Justin Herbert was 33 of 48 throwing for 334 yards, averaging 7 yards per throw. He had 3 touchdown passes, but that one costly interception ended up basically losing them that game. And then the other Chargers stat that I wanted to bring up was Mike Williams had 8 receptions for 113 and 1 touchdown. And really quickly, I want to give my 2 cents on Mike Williams. He always seems to beat the Chiefs, and for good reason. There was a couple times tonight, more than a couple times, I would argue, that Rashad Fenton or L'Jarius Sneed was in the right place. He just made the catch. Like that touchdown catch, there was nothing L'Jarius Sneed could do. That one deep throw downtown, there's only so much 5'11 Rashad Fenton can do against 6'4 Mike Williams. And I think that for whatever reason, Mike Williams is just a Chiefs killer. But again, it didn't come back to really bite the Chiefs in the long run. But yeah, we got to put a big body on Mike Williams because he looked like Randy Moss tonight. It was crazy. But getting back to the Chiefs stats, Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 8 carries for 74 yards, including that long run of 52 yards. Jarrett McKinnon had 4 carries for 12 yards. Mike Burton had a carry for 6 yards. Going down to the receiving, Travis Kelce had 5 receptions for 51 yards. Man, he got body slammed. We talked about that earlier in the stream. Don't know how that wasn't called. Justin Watson had 2 receptions for 50 yards, his longest being the 41-yard touchdown pass from Patrick Mahomes. Mecole Hardman had 3 receptions for 49 yards. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 4 catches for 44 yards. Marquez Valdez-Scantling had 2 catches for 13 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster had 3 for 10. And Noah Gray had 2 catches for 12 yards. Now, after reading those stats, I want to talk about Mecole really quickly because I kind of brought it up early on. Yeah. Mecole Hardman had one big drop in this game, but I also feel like when they try to get him involved in the screen game or the jet sweep game, at least early on, it never seems to work. And I think that it's just because Andy calls it in the most inopportune times. But, what are your thoughts on that? Because I hate it when it's like third and two at like the 30, and they decide to go with a jet sweep instead of just running that ball up the gut and getting that first down.
Yeah, I mean, I know they always do their stuff that they got to do to get Mecole involved. So, I get it. So I was a little bit disappointed, and it was a play that made me go, this is why the Mecole Hardman breakout will never happen that Chiefs fans want. And it was like it was like a second or third down, like medium to go, and they dialed up a quick pass for him, and he drops it. And it was a play that he should have had. I don't know if you remember it or know what I'm talking about.
I know.
It was like 2nd or 5 and 3rd and 5, and they draw up a quick play to get him the ball that would have probably gone for a first down or very close if he caught it. And he drops it, and he's undefended. And it's like, that's the play we've wanted Mecole to make for the past 3 years, and he can't do it.
Yeah, and I don't think that he ever will be able to do it. And one thing that I will say, though, for as much as Mecole Hardman has made Chiefs fans upset, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is starting to silence a lot.
I was ready to talk about him. Clyde, I never doubted him. I never doubted him, Michael. You've been here the whole time. When have I ever doubted Clyde? Oh my God, his run tonight where he broke away from the secondary, I've never seen him do that. And in fact, I have the tweet right in front of me. Give me 1 second.
Really quickly.
From Matt Derrick.
Go ahead.
From Matt Derrick. That 52-yard run by Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the longest run of his NFL career. Previous longest run was 31 yards in his rookie season in 2020. That was the play where he juked. Now Chief Justin Reed on his way to the end zone. But we've totally been missing that from Clyde. And look, maybe I underestimated how much his surgery affected him last year, because that Clyde Edwards-Helaire that had a 52-yard run tonight, I've never seen that from him. Not once has he ever had a breakaway run getting into the secondary like that. He's never done that. And we saw it tonight, and he's looked good. I have to give it to him. He's looked good. And, I was right. I told you guys I told you guys to wait on him, that he was coming. I told you.
Yeah, Josh is the CEO of the Clyde Edwards-Helaire fan base, because he's been with him the entire time. But yeah, I mean, I think that bodes so well for the Chiefs, because if Clyde Edwards-Helaire becomes a bona fide weapon in this offense, the Chiefs are unstoppable. Like, if he can break off, not even those 50-yard runs a game, if he's getting 9 yards a clip, like he was averaging at one point tonight, he was running the ball really well. And I want to give a lot of credit to the Chiefs' offensive line. They might have some trouble in pass protection every now and then, but running, like the run blocking, has really been good for McKinnon, for Clyde, for every running back in this system. And I want to keep it up because we're starting to see a first-round talent in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's never going to live up to that pick, but if he becomes a solid player for this team, right now he's playing better than average. And I think that if he keeps this up, the Chiefs are going to have their guy at running back for this season.
Yeah, well, like I told you after the Cardinals game, it's like, hey, if he can be a contributor, like someone that is clearly contributing week in and week out, and not be an embarrassment, because look, there were times last year where, like, straight up, Clyde was an embarrassment. He should not have been out there. Darrell Williams was playing better than him, especially in the receiving game. Now, like, he looks good. He genuinely looks good.
Looks crisper and faster.
Yeah, if we can get that from him, that's perfect.
He's starting to play like the guy that we drafted him to be. And I think it's because the Chiefs are utilizing him in both the running game and the passing game. He's been just as good of a receiving back as he has been a running back. And I don't know if that was Andy Reid stunning his growth in the first 2 years, but if they're going to use him like this every game, they're going to get some great production out of him. And it's just going to be one more guy for Mahomes to go to if it really matters. And also, I want to point this out as well. Jerick McKinnon on third down has been a really good blocking back. I saw him absolutely he took the head off of one of the Chargers rushers, and it buyed Mahomes just that little bit extra time. And I think he got a first down on that play. So the Chiefs running back group is stronger than ever, really. And, as I was reading off those stats, there wasn't a single Chiefs receiver over 100 yards, but all of them contributed in this game at one way or another. And that's exactly what we need to see, because the Chiefs offense, if everybody gets involved, is going to be so hard to stop. Now, Travis Kelce, I'll admit, Derwin James played really well in this game. There was a couple times tonight where I was like, Jesus, man, like, relax. Like, he took our the head off of a couple of our guys and just kind of maybe worried a little bit. But Travis Kelce, for the most part, didn't have this huge game, but it didn't matter because the Chiefs are so balanced on offense that they were still able to get the job done.
Yeah, and like, even though Travis Kelce didn't have like a huge game, he still had some timely catches that got us first downs and that play that got us to the goal line. I also want to talk about that red zone stint, though, that ended up in only a field goal for us. One complaint that I have from that is that our red zone offense was very predictable. It was very predictable. So, like, we all know Jody Fortson's this big red zone target. Well, I think teams are kind of starting to take notice now. Like, hey, every time Jody Fortson's on the field, they're probably going to target him. We should probably watch him closely. And I was telling my friend that was watching the game with me for a minute. I was like, oh, 88's on the field. I'm telling you, they're going to go to him. Patrick Mahomes looks his way, and the cornerback made a perfect play. He was all over it. And it's like, Jody Fortson literally hit, the only time he's ever on the field is like when the Chiefs are in the red zone. So, like, it's becoming predictable. And then the very next play was the shovel pass, the signature shovel pass. And it's like, yeah, it's great. It's cool, especially when it works. But you've been doing that like every single time now. Like, teams are starting to catch on. And the play calling was a little frustrating in that aspect, as well as other parts of the game.
We're lucky that the Chargers weren't up at that point. The Chiefs, in all likelihood, should have gone for that. Like, it was like 4th and 1 at the goal line. You need to go for that. Like, I know that they took the points and they needed to take the points, and ultimately it ended up working out. But against the Chargers, who actually did not do that tonight, but the Chargers are known for going for it on 4th down every single time against the Chiefs, and you can't play conservative when you're going up against that. Luckily, it didn't bite them tonight, but, later on in the season, the Chargers are going to be even more aggressive to win that game in Los Angeles. You have got to go for it in those situations, and you got to have good play calling, because like you said, the play calling in the red zone was really bad. Like, you got to figure out a way to punch it in when you're that close. And they weren't able to do it on that particular instance. And that could be a problem in the future. But really quickly, we've given our props to Chris Jones, who had 2 sacks and I want to say 4 pressures and a bunch of other hits. We've given our respect to Clyde. Pat played a good game. I want to give props to our rent kicker in Matt Amendola. The dude came off of basically, I think he was on the street. They brought him in, and he was able to be really good for this team. And I hope he earns a job somewhere because he deserved it. He was really solid for us tonight.
Yeah, he did his job. That's exactly what they signed him for, to fill in and make kicks, and that's what he did. I also remember reading when the Chiefs signed him that he basically what they did is they brought in like 6 kickers. Elliott Fry was one of them. They brought him in again for a workout. Cody Parkey was another one.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and it was a 6-man kicking derby, and Matt Amendola won, and that's how they signed him. So I guess Matt Amendola is riding on lightning in a bottle right now. So, yeah, hopefully he gets another shot somewhere else because when Bucker comes back, I assume he's probably going to get let go. So, yeah, good luck to the guy. But thank you for your time as a Chief. Yeah, it worked out.
He was much better than Elliott Fry was last year. And
Yeah.
if he doesn't make 2 of those field goals, we don't win this game. So shout out to Matt Amendola from coming off the street and being a productive member in a crucial game. Like right now, the Chiefs are atop of the AFC West. And granted, it's 2 weeks in. But again, no one expected us to be here. I was told that the Chargers were better than the Chiefs. We just saw the exact opposite of that. I was told the Broncos are better than the Chiefs. Never saw that. The Broncos are going to finish last in this division, by the way. And I hope everybody knows that. The Raiders were supposedly better than the Chiefs. That is yet to be seen. But do they look like a team that's going to beat the Chiefs at home or really away? I'm not sure. Granted, it's week 2. We can't get ahead of ourselves. But there's a reason why Andy Reid is so good at being a regular season coach, but even within the division. He's like 36 and I want to say 6 against the AFC West since coming to Kansas City. It's probably 37 and 6 now. He doesn't lose divisional games. And tonight, on a short week, coming off, he had 3-4 days to prepare for this game.
Yeah.
And I know the offense was stagnant tonight a lot, but for a short week, they did the job. They did enough to win this game, survive in advance, so to speak. And right now, the Chiefs hold a lead in this division.
Yeah, and the nice thing is, since they played Thursday night, now they get the rest of this weekend off, and they'll have time to prepare again. So that'll be nice, and they get a chance to heal up some of their injuries. The only ones that I read about were to Mike Dana. Andy Reid said he had a strained calf, so that's nice to hear that it was only a strained calf, nothing major. Mecole Hardman, the ankle injury that he sustained in the game. And then Justin Watson was dealing with a shoulder issue, but otherwise no major injuries. So that's good.
Man, that was a hell of a win. And it was so important too, because now I don't want to say it takes the pressure off this division, but you don't have to necessarily win that game in Los Angeles to win the division because you took care of business at home back at Arrowhead Stadium in the home opener. They repainted the end zones for the retro look. Looked fantastic, by the way. I would not mind having those end zones all season. But Josh, do you have any final thoughts on this game? Because I'm sure it's one that we'll be talking about for a while.
I'll leave it with this tweet that I just saw, also from Matt Derrick. Patrick Mahomes with the mic drop talking about the overturned interception. I'm sure PFF will give me a low grade, because of that. So that's just confirmation that Patrick Mahomes he sees what's being said. He saw the BS grade that PFF gave him. I'm sure you saw that this week, that whole thing about his PFF grade. It was ridiculous. I didn't participate too much in the banter about it, but it was pretty ridiculous the way they were trying to justify their low grade for him. But Mahomes, he sees the slander. He definitely does.
And I don't think he cares. The only thing that he cares about is wins. And right now, he's unbeaten. And that's all that he cares about. So, Josh, It was a pleasure to get you on this live Chiefs post-game show. If you guys like this kind of content, especially live after the game, instead of me doing like a post-game recap that is edited and takes like 2 hours to get out, Would you rather hear us go live after the game? If so, like this video, comment down below. Josh, before we get out of here, where can people find you?
You can find me on my channel, Josh Fan, here on YouTube. You can also find me on Twitter at ShowMeFB for Show Me Football, and my personal at JoshFan43. And then go check out my website, www.showmefootball.com.
Absolutely, guys. The link to his website and all of his social media stuff is in the description of this live post-game show. As for me, you can find me on Twitter. That is at KC Sports Report. Instagram is KC_Sports Report. Yet again, the Chiefs beat the Chargers 27-24 in the Arrowhead home opener of the 2022 NFL season. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching this video, and go Chiefs.